How can you come to a wet fit and don't expect for you to get wet? You don't know it's blows you go get. You watching SAT TV.
Bring out the reading, SAT Telecoms.
Welcome to SAT TV News. I am Alicia George, your presenter. In our top stories, health officials concerned about spread of chikungunya. US and Canada sign agreement to halt offshore tax evasion in the Caribbean. Australian authorities destroy $630 million worth of heroin. And in sports, Stephen Jacobs to lead UWI Vice Chancellor's team. Details of these will follow.
Nobody can love it the way I do. I'm with you, my yori yori. With you, everything is welly welly. Your love, they make my heart to do yori yori. Nobody can love it the way I do. I'm with you, my yori. What's up? My name is Vas.
And this is Mesh.
And we are Brackets.
And you're watching SAT TV. Don't miss it, because if you miss it,
you will lose it.
Brackets say so.
One love, everybody.
How can you come to a wet fit and don't expect for you to get wet? You don't know it's blows you go get. You watching SAT TV.
Welcome back. One man is missing following a boating accident which occurred on Wednesday, February 5th, 2014. According to Police Public Relations Officer Inspector John Carbon, Mr. Vincent John Ofonkole, better known as Satan, and Mr. Louis Prevost of Kennedy Avenue, Roseau, were on an open keel boat named Jade, powered by a 40-horsepower engine when the boat capsized. The incident occurred at about 4 a.m. on Wednesday on the south of the island, where the boat was alleged to have struck a log and sank. Mr. John was rescued by a local fishing boat from Fonkole at about 9:45 a.m. that same morning. However, Mr. Prevost and the boat are missing and has not been found. Mr. Carbon added Coast Guard officials and an aircraft from the Maritime Rescue Coordination Center in Martinique are currently searching for Mr. Prevost. In more news, Senior Environmental Health Officer at the Environmental Health Office, Mr. Sylvester Saint-Ville, says the Ministry of Education is currently implementing the recommendations given to them by the Environmental Health Office to effectively combat the mold problem at the Roseau Primary School. He said since the school was closed on Tuesday, February 4th, 2014, the Environmental Health Office, in collaboration with the National Pest and Termite Control, have been conducting various sanitation methods in order to get the school ready for classes.
Exposure to molds, for example, molds can cause respiratory and other conditions, but mainly respiratory and skin and dermal conditions. People exposed to the mold spores can exhibit sneezing, sinus irritation, respiratory irritation, skin irritation. So that could manifest, for example, through nausea and upper respiratory discomfort and skin irritation. Molds have been known to cause those things, dizziness, for example. So yes, molds can, and especially as you said earlier, in individuals who have other underlying medical conditions, and especially those with respiratory conditions, such as asthma, bronchitis, and other upper respiratory illnesses like sinus.
He noted the mold spores irritate the individuals they come in contact with, causing them to fall ill. It is therefore important that persons with underlying conditions avoid mold-infested areas as much as possible.
How they are doing that? Well, they're cutting the trees, for example, because sunlight destroys the molds and they are not able to multiply and release spores. So they're cutting down the trees around some of the schools to allow sunlight in, and cleaning and scrubbing and sanitizing to allow, you know, the reduction in the levels of molds at the schools.
The mold flourishes when there is dampness in an environment, as molds help in the decomposition of organisms or organic materials, causing it to quickly multiply. According to him, the reason the school had such a large population of mold is because cleaning supplies contained moisture which was used to clean the school. The schools will be reopened when deemed safe by the Ministry of Education. In more stories, the government of Dominica has announced that a total of $5 million has been budgeted for the home renovation and sanitation program for the fiscal year 2013-2014. Honorable Ashton Grano, Minister for Carib Affairs and representative for the Salivia constituency, has described the initiative to eradicate pit latrines in Dominica as one of the greatest ideas that ever came across over the last decade. He said perhaps they're at fault, as the Prime Minister has been speaking of eradication of pit latrines, but it was not taken very seriously.
We are now beginning the ball, and all constituencies will be benefiting. In my constituency, for example, we have already identified 15 people to begin with, whom will be assisting completely with the construction of washroom facilities. That, of course, will replace the old pit latrines.
Minister Grano believes that this initiative will empower not only people in his constituency, but all Dominicans who will benefit from the program.
I myself grew up as a boy using pit, but I know it can be very, embarrassing sometimes, inconvenient many times, and especially if it's raining. And at night, for example, if you have to get out to use the washroom, you know how troublesome that can be. If you have a diarrhea and you have to be rushing out in the night, or even during the day. So it's much better. I mean, it's more sanitary, and I think it's a very great idea.
In other news, despite efforts by the Ministry of Health, in collaboration with the Environmental Health Department, to contain the spread of the deadly chikungunya virus in Dominica, reports indicate that the virus is spreading. Senior Environmental Health Officer at the Environmental Health Office, Mr. Sylvester Senville, says the Minister of Health continues to battle the outbreak of the deadly virus.
We have a number of confirmed cases. Last week we had about 4. This week we have an increase in the number of confirmed cases. I do not have the details right now, but we have an increase in the number of cases. We are looking at 2 communities, mainly Bath Estate and Woodford Hill, where the chikungunya continues to spread. And residents are advised to take every available measure to prevent the continued spread of that disease. As we know, chikungunya can be debilitating, can affect the risks and joint pain and muscle pain and fever, so individuals have to be alert. The chikungunya is spread by the Aedes aegypti mosquito, and this mosquito is a domestic mosquito. It lives in and around the house. It's the same mosquito which transmits dengue fever. So individuals have to take every necessary action to reduce the spread of that fever.
He said it is very important that the persons who are ill with the virus avoid getting bitten by mosquitoes, as this can further spread the infection. Individuals manifesting symptoms such as fever, joint pains and muscle pain should immediately visit their local health center. He is urging the public to avoid self-medicating, as they could be treating themselves for a condition they do not have or taking the wrong medication.
Avoid the individuals from getting bitten by mosquitoes, so do some spraying, because these are emergency measures and these things are necessary. So individuals can do some spraying of the homes with local insecticides. Also do a yard inspection to find out whether you have any containers which may be breeding mosquitoes. Also inside of the home, because individuals used to use a lot of flower pots, so they need to reduce the infestation of mosquitoes in the environment.
In terms of how many persons are infected in Dominica, do you have an estimate or range?
Well, I think we probably have between 10 and 13 cases of confirmed chikungunya virus in the country. We have other suspected cases, but that's the number that we have. They are mainly concentrated, as I said earlier, in the Baffin State and Woodford Hill areas.
So despite early detection, the virus is spreading?
Yeah, the virus is spreading, so that is why we're calling on communities to take every necessary action to curb the spread of the chikungunya virus.
They are still investigating how the virus spread from Good Hope to Woodford Hill and now Baffin State, but noted it is suspected that persons from these communities contracted the virus following trips to St. Martin, Guadeloupe and Martinique, which they did not report. Mr. Saint-Ville says they are taking the virus very seriously, as one can only be immune after contracting it, and since it is new to Dominica, everyone is at risk.
In many of the countries where there has been an outbreak, of chikungunya, people continue to suffer even 2 to 3 years after with joint pain. That is the biggest issue with chikungunya disease. Chikungunya disease have a very low case fatality ratio. For example, in one of the countries where you had chikungunya, you had over 266,000 cases, only 240 something died. So we have a very low case fatality ratio, so we're not too concerned about death. But although with individuals with underlying causes, under other medical conditions, this could exacerbate other medical conditions. But chikungunya, the main concern with chikungunya is the long-term effects on risk and joint pain.
If many persons are infected, it would have a serious impact on the economy of Dominica, in addition to our healthcare system. Seeing we are at the peak of the cruise ship season and have already begun our carnival season, Mr. Saint-Ville says the virus can reduce the number of visitors to the island, as tourists would not want to risk contracting it. He added the public must do all within their power to ensure they are protected from the virus. The first case of the chikungunya virus was detected in the community of Good Hope from an individual returning from St. Martin in December of 2013, which was the first Caribbean country infected with the virus. In other stories, Mexico's Foreign Minister, His Excellency Jose Antonio Meade Curribrina, is in Rosa Dominica for high-level talks with Prime Minister and Foreign Minister, the Honorable Roosevelt Skerrit. The talks began at the Port Young Hotel, where delegations of both countries met. Prime Minister and Minister for Finance and Foreign Affairs stated that the government of Mexico will make an initial contribution of EC $1.35 million to the government of Dominica. The monies will go towards dealing with the effects of a trough system which affected Dominica on December 24, 2013. Following an emergency cabinet meeting on Friday, December 27, 2013, Prime Minister Skerrit announced that the government of Dominica would assist those affected in the following ways: provide 100% of the assessed value to repair dwelling houses, provide 60% of assessed value of personal household effects destroyed through flooding, replace textbooks, stationery, uniforms, and other school supplies, provide limited assistance to businesses which suffered damage, pay rental costs for a limited period for those who have to be relocated. The total cleanup cost was estimated at $830,000 and included clearing of roads, drains, and dredging of rivers. Rehabilitation of infrastructure and mitigation works was estimated at $45 million. In other news, Rosa Market Superintendent Mr. Julius Carbone says the sale of produce outside of the Rosa Market is one that concerns him.
The issue of vending of marketable commodities on city streets and sidewalks have been a long-standing issue, and several efforts to address this very unorganized vending problem have resulted in vendors shifting from one point to another on various occasions. However, I wish to stress that the Rosa Market, in collaboration with these agencies, sees the need to address the whole issue of vending of marketable commodities within the city, and we are willing to do everything possible to bring some resolution to the problem.
He said many of the persons vending along the city streets are not holders of a vending license, which creates some difficulty.
However, we believe in collaboration with these agencies, the Roseau City Council, its bylaws, as well as the solid waste management unit, and the police service. We can really address some of these.
Many of the persons who sell their produce complain that the market is crowded and are of the view their produce can sell faster being on the streets of Roseau. In other news, residents of the Trafalgar community were on Thursday, February 6, briefed on the various programs under the National Employment Program, NEP, as part of the apprenticeship orientation exercise launched in December of 2013. Ms. Gloria Joseph, coordinator of the National Employment Program, believes the program has multiple benefits for Dominica.
The program was launched in December 2013, and so we're just about 2 months into the program. And what I can tell you, and what you may have experienced already, is phenomenal in terms of the impact that the program is making.
According to Ms. Joseph, 108 persons from the Roseau Valley have registered, of which 50% have already been placed.
We're going across the communities in Dominica, and we're not just looking at the cream of the crop in terms of persons who have high academic qualifications. We're getting down to the grassroots as well, persons who may not have even completed primary school, persons who do not have the academics, but they have skill and they have passion and they have a desire to work.
A number of persons have already been placed in the hospitality sector, special skills services, and culinary arts services through the apprenticeship program. Another aspect of the NEP program includes a community employment program, which looks at communities and projects within the communities that can be supported by the organization and the adult education program.
We've had a number of persons attend adult education classes, and they've learned practical skills like sewing and other skills. What we intend to do is to take these people who have succeeded in the program and to find them job placements with larger firms like King's Garments, Caribbean Apparels, etc., and find them jobs there.
Meanwhile, Prime Minister Honorable Roosevelt Skerrit says that despite the critics, the Dominica Labour Party has launched a number of initiatives to create employment for the people of Dominica.
Some people may speak as if the issue of unemployment became a subject matter only during the reign of this Labour Party government. But over the years, we have not sat on our hands and do nothing about the unemployment issue confronting our country.
He spoke of construction of hotels, millions spent on infrastructure, and investments made towards a night landing at the Melville Hall Airport, among others. In more stories, an article by a local newspaper has reported that Barbadian political scientist Mr. Peter Wickham is of the view that Prime Minister and Minister of Finance in Dominica, Honorable Roosevelt Skerrit, should step down as leader of the ruling party and perhaps even from the next general election. He's been flying high on the love of the common people. He's been riding on the backs of the ordinary citizen. He's reached new levels on the devotion of infinitely seducible Dominicans, the article states. But now, just when Roosevelt Skerrit appears to have convinced himself of his inviolable right to be king of his domain, just when he is preparing to sing hymns of praise to his own genius, just when the common people are getting set to demonstrate if the love is still there, the Prime Minister is being advised that he must not hang around much longer, it went on to say. According to Mr. Wickham, who has conducted several polls for the Dominica Labour Party, DLP, I think he should consider making it his last. The Barbadian political scientist suggested that the common people on whose shoulders Skerrit rides can easily sag under the imposing weight of leaders who stay on too long. It's consistent with my view that the leader should be limited to 2 terms, Wickham said. A Prime Minister should not go beyond 2 terms. However, there is nothing to suggest that the Prime Minister plans to quit. Wickham agrees it's a peculiar position, but maintains the Prime Minister's youth ought not to determine how long he stays on. In more news, The Leo Club of Dominica is promising a very exciting event when they host their annual Junior Calypso Monarch show on Thursday, February 20th, 2014. President of the Leo Club of Dominica, Ms. Andrea Seaman, says they're excited as the number of participants has been growing steadily. So far, there are 13 participants registered for the show.
Coming thankfully from all schools around the island that you can think of. We have from St. Martin St. Martin Secondary School, two representatives. We have from the Convent High School, the Convent Preparatory School, the Northeast Comprehensive School. We also have from the Dominica Grammar School. We have from the other schools participating around. So we have 13 participants who are very eager, excited, and ready for them to bring on a wonderful show. The show is scheduled for February 20th. The venue to be determined as we go along, because you know sometimes planning takes a little while.
The cost of the show is $10 for children, $15 for adults, and $25 for VIP. Ms. Simmons said it is very important that the public come out in large numbers to support the Calypsonians.
This year, for the first time ever, we have the National Council coming on board as one of our sponsors. We're still waiting other sponsorship, and we're inviting those out there, the business places who are tuned in and who want to take an interest in the young people who are already making their mark in the Calypso arena, to feel free to call myself. I'm Leo President. You can get me worldwide. Or you can visit us on our page on Facebook, the Leo Club of Dominica, and feel free to leave us a comment or any way that you can assist. Our club members are very excited. They're working very hard as we want to really give you a show for your money's.
She added, for the past few years, the committee has seen some of the members grow to form a part of the Calypso Association or participate in the National Calypso Arena.
Heard it before, the famous all-time Calypso monarch Denison Dice, you know, and we know that he's one who has been a product. Now we have the Duchess, who is making her debut in the Calypso Association. That's a big field, and she started with the Junior Calypso Monarch. So I mean, if we talk about culture, we talk about sustaining our culture, this is it. Junior Calypso Monarch, who brings to us that of what Dominica is all about, part of what Dominica is all about. So I think the Leo Club of Dominica and its recognition on the Junior Calypso Monarch has helped to build what Dominica Calypso Association is all about.
She added a challenge that haunts them annually is sponsorship, and she is hoping that the business community can assist in any way possible. In other stories, Stardom Calypso 10 Tug of War, one of the many activities scheduled to take place at the 10th this year, got off to a great start with Calypsonian the Energizer versus the Intruder. The battle went from She Blaming Skerrit to Pull String.
Oh, they are working for little money. My wife, she cares me for little shopping. She got KFC, take all the money. Can't pay me like bill, they got it on me. She pay me with that carrot. I just support the baby party. No qualification necessary. So opportunities get priority over experience and seniority. And it don't matter what, because opportunities the country loves is pushing once you're in control. And it's back to your own.
The second team was Beetle J versus Ghetto Prince, followed by Mighty DBS versus Dino, Elf versus Jack, Webb versus Benno, and Black Diamond versus Man himself. Other battles came from Lugas versus the Checker, Alicia versus Stingray, Mighty Picky versus Headliner, King Observer versus Daddy Chess, and Jammer B versus Chris B. The show continued with Walksock versus Sour Sour, Checo versus JD, Mighty OP versus Shadowflow, and a special rendition from veteran Calypsonians Hunter and Scrunter.
Trust the black man at all. When people that Hunter, let me thank you, cause everything you saying is true. They say when I came on stage, all I hear is boo, but I respect it, the people's point of view. But Monday morning when I turn my radio on cue, and you wear my tank, I like them boys they treated you. I tell myself strong to carry sons of virtue. With Dominicans we really fuck up for true. Yeah. and my brother Hunter. I tell him you must respect your own teacher. When I heard about the camera affair, I said, Hunter, please, you must surrender. He listened to me, he went and listened to Mac. He went on radio listening to Q and show. But in the end, what my brother do, he ended up like a real mass puppy show.
Needless to say, the fans enjoyed the show. Spectators from as far as Germany and Ukraine joined in the fun.
Pretty white. We have to say something about people who are struggling for freedom in Ukraine in these days. They're protesting to enter the European Union, but Russia is against it. And we took part in the demonstration at the end of the year. Oh, so you're fighting for freedom. Oh, I see. So you're supporting the Workers' Party?
This has been the local segment of the news. Coming up next, regional highlights.
Becoming energy efficient can mean big savings on your electric bill. Fix drips from a leaky faucet. It's a cost-effective way to save energy and conserve water. Also, keep an eye on the flames of your gas stove.